Welcome back to the Us Girls Basketball Podcast, where we hear from real women, real ballers, and real stories. Today, we have an exciting guest, Abby, who is joining us. We're going to have her introduce herself here in just a second, but we're super pumped because actually her twin's going to be joining us here very soon, too. So if you get them mixed up, this is Abby. So we're going to...
Don't forget her. So
don't forget it. This is Abby. But hey, Abby, how you doing? Go ahead and give us a little introduction of who you are.
My name's Abby Buchs. Like they said, I have a twin sister who is my best friend, but we always played basketball together. We were blessed to play all the way through high school and college together. I went to Taylor University, just graduated a couple years ago. That's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Well, Abby, we ask every guest the same question. So what is your biggest piece of advice you would give your younger basketball self?
You know, I think it would be just to not put limitations on myself on what I could accomplish. I think that age when you're, in high school and getting ready to go into college, it's really impressionable in our minds. And I think for me, I just listened to so many people say that, my goals were too high or I couldn't do something. And I think when I started to realize, we're the only people that can put limitations on ourselves. Like my freshman year at college, honestly, I sat the bench a lot. I did not play very much. If you would look at my stat sheet, you would say it was a really unsuccessful year. I had the goal of being an all-conference player that next year. And there were so many people saying, you didn't even play last year and you expect to be all-conference next year. Every person that's on those teams are four-year starters that have averaged 15 points. How do you expect to get there? And I think the biggest thing would be just to not let people kill your dream. We are the only people that can put limitations on ourselves. So I think I would have told myself that for sure.
Wow. I got chills.
I
literally got chills when you said that.
I never heard a guest say it that way, what they would tell their younger basketball self, I wouldn't put limitations on my dreams and my goals and my aspirations. And that is huge because nowadays kids, if they don't see if they're not even starting the first game of their high school career, they're I'm done, or I can't do it or anything, or because they have those people saying well, you didn't start, so you must not be that good, or you're on the bench for a little bit, quote unquote, for a reason. But having that confidence in yourself and knowing, hey, they're not me. They don't set my limits. They don't set my goals. They don't even know what I'm doing today, what I'm eating for breakfast. They can't tell me what to do or whatnot. That is insane. And I think that's huge too, because a lot of kids at this younger age have that impression if they don't achieve that within the first year of college or whatnot. And then what is being said, it kind of kills a dream. But per your track record, it pushed your dream way harder and way farther. So that kudos to you. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's funny. I've been on a TikTok little grind right recently. I don't know. I love TikTok, but I was making videos literally about the imposter syndrome in athletes, because we talk about it a lot in just regular goals in life, with career or whatever, but we don't talk about it as an athlete. And that's very much so. And I definitely see, Abby, you could have let that really sunk in your head if you wanted it to be, but you didn't. You kept going. And like you said, I guess if you looked at stats, it looked crazy that you said you wanted to be an all conference player. But I think that's when that true grind and that true work and it probably made you feel a lot better than if you were the last vote to being all conference or something like that. You proved everybody wrong. And I don't know, that just made me so happy to hear that that's was your story, and the fact that you never gave up. And I guess going off of this, one of the topics that we really discussed talking with you is what that true grind means, and committed to the grind. So what does that mean for you? And even give us this rundown and story, what that meant from you from freshman year to sophomore year.
I think one of the biggest things that I had to get over was not caring what I looked like to other people. Freshman year was so hard because I'm all these people think I'm stuck, I don't play. And I just had to get over that. We all have to get over that when you're reaching towards something. But I think one of the biggest things in life too is just discipline. Like when I think about discipline, I'm thinking about, I said at the beginning of this year that I'm not leaving anything on the table. Like I'm going to work as hard as I can. And there's going to be days where I don't feel like it, and I still have to do it. And I think it's just staying consistent. Like Kobe was always a big role model. And even if you look at like MJ, Steph, like they outwork every single person. Like I guarantee there's no one putting more shots up than Steph. Like they continuously outwork people. And I think I had to understand that being disciplined and putting in the work is just part of it. Like there's no way to get to that other side without going through hours and hours of training or of getting shots up. And I think the other thing is nowadays, even more, I think, than in high school, but we let our feelings dictate so much. Like, oh, I don't feel like working out. Like, I just feel like I should take the day off. Like, not letting my feelings dictate what I was going to do for the day. Like, that was a big thing. And it starts to become a habit. Like, it starts to become a non-negotiable. Like, getting shots up or working out or getting a quick workout in, like, that was a non-negotiable for me. So if I had to wake up at 5 a.m. and do it, I would. Or there was many times me and Becca and Meredith, like we were in the gym at midnight shooting because we didn't have time to shoot anytime else. But I think just staying disciplined, don't let your mind make excuses, because that's just the natural thing to do is excuses come up and you just have to recognize that that's what it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing too I want to bring up is everybody thinks there's this special formula to being great, and having success. It's really just work hard and make sacrifices. Like I'm talking a lot about that with my team now is it's sacrifice. Like girl, Emma already knows about my
Yeah,
team.
you
So
are.
there's a little headache going on right now, but it's okay. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But it's
this
like
is perfect.
It's perfect for this. Like they need, I'm not kidding you. I'm sharing them my own podcast. I'm telling them, listen to Abby. Don't listen to me. Listen to Abby. because it's not just me saying this. Okay. No, but for real, it's one of those things where it's hard. Like, I'm sure all of us, can relate to this in high school, like not going to friends' homes because we had an AAU tournament or maybe like not going out because we had to wake up early or those things. Like it's not fun to do. Like especially in college, like I guess you want to live like the college experience. You want to have fun with your friends. It's your first time like living on your own, like all of these things. But when you have a goal and that goal is that important, you'll make the time for it. You know what I mean? And that's like the biggest thing I think my parents drilled into me. They're like, if you're not wanting to even make the sacrifice, do you really truly want the goal? So I think you saying that, I'm like, yes, thank you.
You hit it right on the head.
Yes.
I love it. I love it because you mentioned how like Steph and Kobe and Michael Jordan, and you hear these stories as well, part of their journey. Like, do we remember Steph when he played at Davidson and how small he was and how big his jersey was? And they're like, you can't compete. You're not tall enough. You're not big enough. You're not strong enough. Michael Jordan not even making his high school team. Like, we talk about that, but guess what? Look at where they're at now. They're making history. They're putting their names in the books. But not only that in the men's field, but so are women as well. They're being those leaders. I mean, I know names like Taisha Harris, Dana Evans, like all these people that I grew up with relatively playing in the same areas. And now you see them promoting their workouts. You see them promoting that it's not just, I didn't get here because, I mean, connections are good. Connections, if you can make connections, is awesome. But I didn't get here because of just my connections. I had to put some time and effort in. I had to make sacrifices. And, sometimes it wasn't the easiest thing to do. And maybe it was honestly hurting in some kind of aspect, but it got me here. I had to put my body through it. I had to change my mindset. I had to get to where I wanted to prove those people wrong. And the other night I actually had watched, it was one of those like workout machines that you put on the wall and they're like,
oh yeah,
tonal things.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They're like okay, so it's one of those like really expensive ones or whatever. And who was it? It was LeBron James. He was in promoting the commercial, and he like started it by saying, "You think I got here because I know people, or it's just because of my name or who I am. But behind the scenes, you don't see how much work I put in. You don't see how much I sacrifice, how much I put my body through so you can have a show to watch. And that is every single player who has gotten to where they were because someone once said that they couldn't do it for so and so reason. And changing that mindset and being like, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I have these talents. You can't tell me, so you're not going to limit my abilities. I'm going to take it and I'm going to fly with it.
Yeah, for sure. And too, not to cut you off, but like what you just said, I'm not kidding. This happened on the last podcast. It's the weirdest thing. I keep posting stories, and then like the story is relevant to what we're talking about in the podcast. And like, it's this graphic, I'll put it on the screen right now, where it's this triangle, but it kind of looks like a mountain. Mm-hmm. And it says the very like tip is like, there's a big line through it. The bottom of the mountain is work. And then the very tip is work you see. So like, that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, you don't see, quote unquote, the blood, tears, sweat, like, that whole thing. You don't see that. Like watching LeBron James or Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi or like any of these women, like you see like the Instagram followers, the success, the championships, the sponsorships, you see that, but you don't see them waking up, at 5 a.m. or especially for the women, like all the traveling overseas and like taking pay cuts. And, you don't see like the hard work that's not on the media. You just see the success. So it's like this, I don't know, like I think people, especially now in day and age, want such instant gratification that they just think success is like this. I can have a viral video on TikTok and it's like this, but it's like all of those things. So you know what I mean? It's just one of those. So I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, that's very ironic. That's like 2 times in a row.
It's happened 2 times in a row. I'm like, this is weird because I only have like one story up right now. So I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But love it. Abby, too, going off of your hard work and your work ethic, what like advice or specific things did you implement in your life that helped you get up at 5 a.m.? You know what I mean? Or what were some tips, tricks, those things, as well as like, what would you tell somebody if they came to you right now and was like, you know what? I want this goal, but to be honest with you, like sacrificing thing is hard right now. Like, what would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing that drove me and allowed me to stay committed was finding my why. And I think we have to in life, like we are not going to be strong enough to be as disciplined, as we need to be to reach our goals. Like we can't do it on our own. And the cool thing is like everyone has their own why. Like for me, it was my faith. Like, I could wake up because I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to sacrifice, like God's going to get the glory in the end.
Yeah.
For some people, it's their family, right? Like they've sacrificed so much for me. Like I want to do this for them. And I think another thing, I thought about it a ton, and I think about it now as I'm pursuing a career in adulting now, but I don't want to, for basketball, I didn't want to end my career and think, I probably could have been all conference. I didn't work hard enough. Or like, if I really would have been committed, I probably could have done that. Like I wanted to end my career, and I want to do the same with my life. Like I want to have no regrets. Like, I reached for the stars. Like I went for whatever I thought the craziest goal would be. And if I don't hit it, then that's fine because I know that I controlled everything I could up until that point. So just thinking about that, like, do you want to, when your career is over, wish that you would have worked harder or got up at 5 a.m.? Like, obviously that doesn't affect me now.
Right.
But
I think that's awesome because how many times like do we want, like Jay said, instant gratification, and we're putting in these hours, it's hurting, it's long, it's tiring, and then we get in our head and we go to perform and we're like, why is there no gratification? Why is nothing coming my way? It's because we get in that mindset where it's like, if I follow this like schedule, it's going to happen then. It's going to happen this time during this week, or, I'm going to train really hard for 7 days. And then this game, I'm going to do really good. That's not like that. It's consistency. It's waking up every morning knowing I'm doing this. I woke up today. I'm alive. I'm healthy. I can't complain. And I'm given an opportunity, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it. And guess what? Before you even know it, you're enjoying the game. It's easier. you're having so much fun. You're not even realizing half the time at this point, you're getting your accreditation that you've been wanting to get.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to a point where I would at least hope, I know there are some of those, you know, we call cocky players out there that it gets to their head. But most people, you know, it's just like, it gets to that point where it's like, I don't care about these awards that I'm getting. I don't care that I made all conference again, because guess what? I'm playing the game and I'm having so much fun with it. And those are just coming with it, because that's not who I am. What got me to here is everything you haven't seen. And I'm going to keep going. Not these awards, not you cheering my name, not all that stuff. You can, I mean, I'll take a clap. I won't deny it, but you know, all that work is going to be seen and recognized when you don't even realize it. And that's when I feel like we truly enjoy the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And to Abby, I want to touch on, because that's something I feel like too, as a woman of faith, like God's been like working on my heart a lot with excellence, like working in excellence. And I feel like as athletes, that's something that we need to have. You know, we need to work in excellence, like you said, glorifying God, glorifying the abilities that he has given us, like the desires he's given us, like this amazing opportunity that he's presented in front of us to even not even just play college basketball, just, you know, play high school basketball or play these. And I will always say, there's one of my teammates from Olivet, Jess, that I will never forget. And I remember thinking to myself one day, I was like, Jess is one of the hardest working people I've ever seen. Like there was just something about her that I was like, what is it? Like I couldn't figure it out. But then it finally hit me where her faith was so intact and everything she did was to glorify God. And it was as simple as that. And it was just like, it makes me like, I get chills like thinking about it, because it's like, holy cow. Like, and she was the most beat up on the team too. Like she had like she was struggling with injuries and this, but you would not know it. And it's because she had a why. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. And I really like too how you said our whys are different. All three of us played college basketball, but all three of our whys were unique. It's the same in your career. It's the same with coaching. It's the same with this. So that's like important. Yeah, go Emma.
I want to add, so your why was your faith, Abby. Did you say that yours was your faith as well, Jay?
I mean,
Or
definitely
what
that
was?
was like definitely part of it, but it was more like making an impact, a positive
Yeah,
impact on the
definitely.
game.
And I like, Abby, how you touched on like families, because that's totally what my why was. Because like my parents sacrificed like all this
Yeah.
time, all the weekends. You know, do you know how many times I went to Wisconsin? I don't even know anyone in Wisconsin, and I went there to play. I went there to play like 5 games, like 2 times out of the year, and that's it. And I'm like, who goes there? But like that was like my why, because that lit a fire under my butt and made me want to like work my butt off. And when I was like, I remember telling my parents, I was like, you know, one day I'm gonna pay you back. I'm going to
Mhm.
be blessed and hopefully lucky enough that I can go to school for free. I can play college basketball. I can live out my dream, but pay you guys back in a tremendous way because of everything you sacrificed. And on top of that, you really do realize the sacrifices it took to get there by then getting to college and understanding like, hey, you're here. There's more to it. It's like a next level of sacrifices and commitment. But ultimately, I think that also shows our true character. And Abby, like you're representing everything that I've known you to be, and like throughout the years, because we played in high against each other in high school and like travel, like we go way back. Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say we do go way back.
Yeah, but it was like, it's so crazy to see our progress, but know that you're, I don't want to say you're not the same person and player. It's because you've gotten so much better along the way. And every person that I've seen on this podcast or have had the blessing of knowing and bringing on here, but just hearing their journey, it's like, it's everything we all started with, but we see so much more, and it took us so far.
It's big. That's so big.
Yeah.
And I guess too, like, not to like change subjects, that was like really great. That was
Sorry.
awesome. And
Yeah.
too, like one thing too I want to throw in there is like, I think it's so cool, like, because all three of us, you know, we are women of faith and everything. And I think it's
Yeah.
so cool because Abby, I could guess that about you the way you were talking. I was like, I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
Jesus is in this girl. Like just like the way you were talking, and like wow, I was like, I just think that's so cool. I just wanted to encourage
That's
you with that because I was
awesome.
like, that is so cool. I was like, and then you
I
said it, your
appreciate that.
why was, you know, glorify God. I
Mhm.
was like, yep, there it is.
Yep.
And I was like,
It's awesome. It is absolutely wonderful. I love it.
so cool.
Everything.
Well, too, since you guys go like way back, do you want to
Oh
like
gosh.
kind of like give a backstory to that? Like how, where, when did you first meet? Like, how did that like come about?
Oh, do you think it was high school or before then, like travel?
I don't know. What travel team did you play on?
I started with Lady Legit, and then I went to Always 100.
Okay, I feel like I maybe remember Lady Legit.
Mm-hmm. It like was only around
But
for a few
definitely high
years.
school.
Yeah, definitely high school. And the thing is like it was almost like a rivalry game, even though it wasn't, because our teams were so competitive and had so many good components. Like we matched up well, and it was just nitty gritty. And the best thing that I remember too from those exchanges, the refs let us play. The refs they let us play, and it was so much fun. And just seeing throughout the years and whatnot, and like that on court like talking and everything, it's crazy because Abby comes down and hits a shot, I come down and come back, but you know what, she's doing a Euro step and going around my whole team, and I'm just like, what's going on now? So like it's just that constant competitiveness through the years. And we've done scrimmages in college and whatnot when I went back home to Indiana Tech. And by that time, her and her sister, you guys, like Taylor was, and I think still is, or are they doing okay still? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like they were like the team to beat and are the team to beat. So like it was cool to know, like coming back home, like that competitiveness was still there, knowing I had that opponent, at least from my perspective, that was gonna push me. That was gonna be in my face, like, Emma, what do you got? And I'm gonna be like, I don't know, but we're about to find out. So
did you guys ever guard each other?
To see like obviously we grew a lot since high school, but you just have this respect for people. Like I think in high school you don't want to admit like, yeah, they're really good. It's like, you just have that like, I'm better. That's just high school. But Savannah Buck, like there's so many people that I continued to play against, and it's like you grow that respect, and like obviously you get to know them as people, but definitely it was cool going against you. I'm like, listen, you have to get up on her. Like I know you guys don't know, but like she's really good. So
I don't want to say this too loud, but like she is good. Like, so get up on her.
Yeah.
And
so
the
like,
thing I love that, because we did like the same thing whenever we would play them. And it's like, you do like your research or whatever, you do your scouting reports, but you still hear in the game, get Abby, get Becca, get up on so-and-so. It's just like, it was a constant like reminder, because like it's always a competition. It's always that extra push, and knowing like you got to have that respect, because they know I trained hard, but I guarantee you they might train a little bit harder even after. So like you got to be ready. But throughout the years, it was awesome. I remember playing high school, college. It's crazy.
That's cool. Yeah, it is funny too. Like, sorry, what were you saying? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I just said it was crazy. Like, the fact that we're talking right now is like crazy. But.
Yeah, no, literally. Exactly what you said. Like, there's people that you're like, oh, great. You know what I mean? Like, she had that competitiveness, but like, it was the coolest thing, especially like a lot of us, because somehow it all worked out that we played each other in college in some way. I never played Emma, but like I've been, one of my best friends is on Indiana Tech, and like, you just know everybody. But like, I remember having moments of, where do I know that girl? Like you're playing, you're like, she looks so familiar. How do I know her? And then like one girl, we actually had her on the podcast, Lauren McBriar, and she played for it was
St.
Indiana.
Francis.
What was it? Yeah, St. Francis. I kept wanting to say Indiana State. I'm like, that's not right. Yeah, and then like seeing her, but then like also seeing her in high school and like this, and it's like, wait, I know you, dude. Like, where were you from? Because I know you.
And the fact that you said that, this is so crazy that we're doing this now, because a girl currently in my graduate class right now, she knows Sydney Shelton, who is on the show.
What the heck?
On the podcast as well. She's like, because I told like my cohort, I was like, Sydney. Hey, if y'all want to check out this podcast, please do. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, Sydney Shelton. And I was like, yeah, how do you know her? She was on the same basketball team as her.
What?
And she's like, I'm right here and Sydney's right there. I'm like, this is a small world.
That's what I'm saying. Play sports, because they literally connect you. Because, okay, so long story short, off the podcast, me and Abby were talking like at the beginning, and I played for a school called Olivet Nazarene for 2 years. And then she played for Taylor. For some reason, Taylor and Olivet bonded at the national tournament. You don't know why, but we did. Like, we got this huge team photo. Like, when they were playing, we were cheering for them, but they we had a crap game against them and got like destroyed. Like, it was a bad game. So you would think that like we would like be like, no, like screw off. Like, we don't want to like talk
literally.
But for some reason we just like talk. I don't know. Abby, you can remember, because like There was well, I don't know. I remember like talking to some of the girls and like I could bring the photo up. I'm gonna try to find it and like put it on the podcast right now because there's
awesome.
there's literally a team photo of us at nationals, but I'm like, and then you're on the podcast and then it's like, I don't know, it was weird.
It really is. And like that's like something really quick too, that like we want to do on this podcast. Like we just want to bring people together, and like basketball, I've said it again and again, I'll say it in every podcast, basketball doesn't judge. No matter who you are, shape, size, color, height, whatever you are, it does not judge. And it's this intertwined community that takes us so far. It brings people back into our lives, it brings back memories, and it brings us back to our why we did this, why we're doing what we're doing now. It's crazy.
It really is. Well, Abby, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Real quick before we end off, go ahead and like plug any social medias that you have, that way people can find you on there.
Abby Buchs. I'm very simple on Instagram and Twitter. But yeah, no, this is like, if we're talking about bigger than basketball, like this podcast is bigger than basketball. Like our picture at nationals, like that has just spoken to like our world is so much bigger than just basketball, but it can unite so many of us. So thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very excited to have you. And I know we look forward to talking to your sister as well. And if there's anything like we can do for you, please let us know. But we appreciate you joining this, and thank you. And thank you. That's all, really.
Yes. Well, with that being said, everybody make sure to rate and review this podcast, as well as share it to anybody who would resonate this, especially any of those people who are really trying to, get to the next level, work hard, make those sacrifices and all that stuff. And also make sure to follow us at Us Girls United on Instagram for updates with the podcast and other more informational things for you, like training tips and whatnot. But with that being said, we will see you guys next week.